Computing is ancient. Computing is modern. It's how we work, get news, manage finances. It's how we socialize, chat, and meet people. Computing is fun. And fundamental to our daily lives.
In the Industrial Revolution, we invented machines to amplify the ability of the human body. The Computer Revolution is about amplifying the ability of the mind. Now we depend on computers. Modern civilization runs on software. But computers are still just machines that need to be told what to do and precisely how to do it by humans. Then, the possibilities are endless.
Computers give us unprecedented freedom to share our best and worst. All that's good about humanity, some of it isn't. It happened so quickly. In 1950, we had the big military computers. By the 70s, mini computers. Soon, every office had a computer. Then almost every home in the developed world. Now, nearly everyone uses multiple computers. From the one on the desktop, to the one on the phone, to the one in the traffic light in the corner.
During my lifetime alone, we've witnessed growth that's unparalleled and unprecedented. And it's not over. We're in the midst of new developments. Exciting events are yet to come.
The history of computing is populated with a great cast of characters. Some truly phenomenal minds, obviously, but also rebels, idealists, dreamers who were ahead of their time, wealthy venture capitalists, perky geniuses, scoundrels, and fanatics. A few rare individuals with the ability and luck that can bring all the pieces together at the right time and actually get products to market. The history of computers is an absolute treasure trove of true stories. Many largely untold before now. There's wisdom and inspiration, and a few cautionary tales too. The objects in the exhibit aren't just artifacts or memorabilia. They capture moments when ordinary people did something extraordinary that impacts our lives every day.
We're only in the middle of the story. More is added to the history of computers every day. So it's a great time to pause and look back, as well as forward, to what tomorrow's innovators, the next generation of rare individuals, will create.
The story of computing is a human story. It's about us.
We're a privileged generation. The audience, participants, and beneficiaries of this blink in time when computers change the world.
The end. Se oli jännä.
And
Eniaksi.
and based on that, he would set the gun at a particular. But those tables were very hard to come by. They're first of all differential equations, and they were differential equations that were planned at the factory and maybe didn't really work. So women, they call them programmers, sat at calculators all day long, doing multiplying, dividing, and square rooting, and so on, to solve these equations. This was to be a substitute. And indeed it was. It just wasn't done by the end of the war. It was actually sort of turned on.
IBM 1 on siinä, ei olekaan IBM kuin Apple 1 on tämmönen.
And 3 months later, Compaq came up with this.
Ja sitten Jobs teki tän kakkosen. Oli tämä. Ja IBM oli tämä.
So, we must put together some of the best ideas. So in 1979, when Jobs came up there, he saw high-resolution graphics, icons, a mouse, and a whole new way of looking at a computer. And he loved that. He saw something else that he loved. When he dropped out of college, he took a course in calligraphy, and he loved type fonts. Stepping back a little, if you had an IBM printer in 1964, you had printing.
I'm one of our volunteer docents here. My colleague is going to be another part of the demonstration. In fact, he will perform the service of power supply. You can see that this is a human-operated machine, and he's got to do a very skillful job because it's a tricky thing to do. He's got to keep that crank going at a constant speed, in spite of the fact that throughout the cycle the forces change. So if he pushes too hard when it's really difficult, he could jam the machine or go too fast. And if he pushes too soft when it's easy, something else won't be ready. In the 20s in England at Cambridge University, there's a young mathematician there, Charles Babbage. He was more than just a mathematician. He was kind of a Renaissance guy, almost like Leonardo da Vinci, although he didn't paint or sculpt. He did write, and he did engineering jobs, and he did mathematical jobs. And he was pretty much into almost all of the sciences. He invented things that we know of today. For example, he invented the cow catcher that sits on the front of a locomotive, which is cows gently off the tracks, instead of making hamburgers. Like this. This is my book from my university days in the 1960s. It's a table of mathematical functions. These are logarithmic functions and trigonometric functions, anything you needed to look up instead of calculate. Because we didn't have computers on our desk or on our belt at that time. We looked up the answers. These books have been around for several hundred years. And in the 1820s, Babbitt and his colleagues were comparing two editions that had been published by different publishers for the same date. What do you think they found when they compared it? Who made up the content of this book? People could make addition mistakes. People could make mistakes copying down the answer to send it to the printing department. And in the printing department, people could make mistakes with movable typeset equipment. So the books were full of errors, and this really bothered Babbage. And when they found two tables in different books for the same function that disagreed, they had to figure out which one was correct and send a note to the publisher of the. Let's see if we can build this thing the way Babbage would have if he was maybe a better manager or had more money and time. And if it did get built, would it have worked? So the London Science Museum tried to set up a project to do the difference engine number 2, simplified design. They had the same problem Babbage did. What's that? Money. Museums always are on money, but he was in London for the marketing event. And as part of his time in London, he went to the museum and he saw the demonstration of the difference engine, or at least 2/3 of it. And he liked it. And Doran Sway, the curator, saw Bill Gates liking it. He knew a good thing when he saw it. He went up to him afterwards and said, Mr. Gates, with the Microsoft Foundation, not yet a Gates Foundation, would the Microsoft Foundation like to fund us to build a printer? He said, I'll go back and ask. And he did, and the answer came back, sorry, the foundation doesn't invest in things like that. But we do have somebody that may help. There was a recently retired Microsoft executive, Mr. Doran Swade, whose picture I don't have here, but I'll get it out of the cabinet in a little while. Not Mr. Doran Swade was the curator. Mr. Nathan Gervold was the retiring Microsoft executive. I got a picture of both of them over there, which I should have brought. It says, for any value of the unknown x, the result equals, in this case, for this polynomial, for this arbitrary function that's in the book, 8 times the unknown x raised to the 7th power, plus 2 times x to the 6th, plus 9 times x to the 5th, etc. It's a very complicated equation. But with the method of finite differences, all we have to do is add. I can explain that, and I will after we see the machine work a little bit over on the blackboard. And it's pretty simple, actually, the method of finite differences. Well, we program in the proper differences to start the calculation by releasing the columns of numbers from the drive mechanism and setting them up to an appropriate set of differences. Then, an inking pad comes and touches the wheels, and the paper comes up and touches the wheels, and it gets printed. Well, that's just a check. The most important thing is what's in this tray. And there's another set of type wheels that presses down into the tray with the same answer. And there's a soft material normally in this tray. Now, we don't have ink in the rollers, and we don't have the soft plaster of Paris because it's really hard to clean up. But you can see it happening, and it presses the answer into the plaster of Paris. You can see an example of that over in the display case there. Notices that it's the end of the last column, and a weight falls down there, which pulls on a string at the bottom here, comes up, and goes over to this lever, which disengages, it pulls on the lever and disengages the crank. So you cannot produce any more answers until you change the tray. Babbage was very insistent on not having any ambiguities or wrong answers or superfluous lost answers. So, at the far end over there, you see a number of other mechanisms. Those are formatting things. Watch for the printer. Yes, we put in the proper differences for this equation. I'll show you how that works. The way we entered it was first we had to calculate what it goes for. Disengage the wheels, turn it by hand to where they ought to be. We're now at x equals 34. I'm going to check the answer. So we got the answer to every 5 values of x. Going too fast, are you? Same place, 35. All right, the machine says for the value of that equation for x equals 35, we should have 5001711578881.
Yes.
Yes, Abby did it again. Thank you. All right, we're going to crank it another 5 cycles, hopefully without too many stops. Even if it stops, we usually know how to fix it. I want you to walk around the back this time, because there's wonderful things happening back there. Now, what are they for? Well, when you add from one column to the next, what happens if there's a 9 from some digit? When you add to that, what do you have to do? Carry, which means you add, if it's a 4, you have 9 plus 4, you get